Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentri. We're putting a bow on the conference tournament previews here, Tyson, as we get to the SEC, the best conference in college basketball, a conference that could break the record for the most teams in a single March Madness event. This would be a fun tournament. We will talk about who we think can win. We're going to also pull up the bracket a little bit and just kind of talk about some paths, things like that. This should be an interesting one. But Tyson, like we've been doing for all our other ones, which you guys should go check out if you're curious our thoughts on the other conference tournaments. I have four teams that I think can win the SEC. And that is Auburn, Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Who are your teams that you believe can win this conference?
Well, all of them. Let's start with that. I think that there's a bunch of teams.
Even South Carolina?
I mean, maybe not them, but like if Arkansas went crazy and won this tournament, or Oklahoma went crazy and won this tournament, or something, then you're like, yeah, I mean, they're a good team. But I think Auburn, obviously, Florida, Bama, Tennessee. I think Kentucky and A&M can scare some people here too. Missouri. I mean, yeah, I'm sticking with you on the main four, but I guess the point is. Just because the best teams in the country are in this conference doesn't mean that they're going to be the ones to win this whole thing.
I agree, and you can kind of get tripped up, but I do think the four best teams in the conference, one of them are going to win, and we'll kind of go over why, Tyson. At least I'll go over metrically, because I think if we're kind of in agreement here, I do want to pull up the bracket. I think that'll be a little bit more interesting to kind of look at some paths for other team. I mean, Auburn won. Of course, they're one of the best teams in the country. Some people believe they're the best team. I've been pretty vocal, me thinking that Duke's the best team in the country. People think they're frauds, yada, yada. That's a different argument for a different day. But what we know about Auburn, they're first in adjusted offense, fourth in adjusted defense in this conference, first in adjusted offense, 13th in adjusted defense in the entire country. They are really, really good. I love this Florida team, fourth in adjusted offense in the conference, third in adjusted defense in the conference. It points to just how good the SEC is, because they're 5th and 12th overall in those metrics in the country, which is crazy to think about. Offensive juggernauts, Alabama, second in offense, 7th in adjusted defense in the SEC, 3rd and 32nd overall, and then Tennessee, pretty much the complete opposite. 9th in adjusted offense, 1st in adjusted defense in the SEC, 30th and 3rd overall. So a bunch of different flavors here, kind of some good all-around teams, some guys who really specialize on one end and the other. Kind of backing that up, Tyson, like dive in, take it forever you want with those four.
Yeah, I think like those ones they're easy. Auburn has maybe the best player in the country. They're maybe the best team in the country. I know they just lost. They weren't great at home, and like they probably should have won that game against Alabama, but Alabama's a really good team that we just saw make a deep run in March a year ago, and they're a year older. Like it's the same cast of characters for the most part. Florida and Tennessee are interesting. I think quite a bit. I think Florida has a better shot, or at least as good a shot as anybody in this conference to win this thing. And it's because Tennessee broke their brains when they played earlier this season. What was it? They scored like 40 points, 44 points, something like that against Tennessee earlier this season. Since then, they've averaged 87. This is a crazy, turnaround for them. And then how many fouls is Tennessee going to get away with? Because it's March, and if they don't get whistled for stuff, and it sounds stupid, but like, if they get a favorable whistle, nobody's beating this team.
It's gonna, especially if they're going to be hitting threes at like a consistent clip, Tyson, because this is an offensively challenged team. Of course, we know that, but I'll tell you something that's scary here. Since February 10th, they are 21st in the country in adjusted offense. They've figured it out, and they're 57th in adjusted defense. So they've actually gotten worse on that end of the floor, but we know that they can go to the next level there. They're 5-2 in their last 7 games to close over this last month. The offense has been really good. They're hitting at a high rate. I mean, the turnover percentage is good. They take care of the ball. They're shooting it well. That's a recipe to be kind of scared about what this Volunteers team can do, because we know what they can do defensively.
How many teams in the SEC are fighting for a 1 seed?
So fighting for one. I think Bama's already locked in. So are we taking into account them or no? I'm sorry, Auburn. I mean,
yeah. I mean, take them into account. We'll go ahead and count it for the exercise. But because like if Florida wins, if
they should be one.
Yeah, if these other teams that we just named win, like they might also be a 1 seed.
I think Auburn, Bama, Florida, I'm not quite sure about Tennessee. I think it's really only 3 teams.
It would depend on the road, I guess, for Tennessee, and then something would have to happen. Probably, like if Houston loses early, then maybe.
Maybe, right. Yeah, you need some help. I think Duke's probably still the number 1 seed overall, and same with Auburn. But let's look at the path, because I think this is kind of where we get some interesting angles that we can discuss here. If you're watching on YouTube, this is on the screen. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more visible, but I mean, it's just hard with the format, all that good stuff. So follow along if you have your own bracket. But here is the top half as we look at things. South Carolina will take Arkansas, and then the winner plays Ole Miss. Winner that plays Auburn. And then you have the winner of that game in game 9 into the semi. So it's similar to the Big 12 that we broke down earlier. I'm like, whatever with this kind of ladder format, but I mean, you got to reward, especially in this conference.
Feels scarier here, doesn't it, than it did before, because all these teams can shoot?
I was going to say, do you want to be the ones who are waiting for the team that got hot at the right time and they're playing hot? I don't know. I think that is a little scarier. You're right. Texas Vandy. What about Vandy? They're a team that's on the bubble, Tyson, but I think they're also like, they can get hot and they can score with anybody. Their defense is just what's going to hold them back. I mean, they're 111th in adjusted defense the past month, 19th best offense in the adjusted metric. So I think they can score with anybody, but that path is difficult when you got to go to Texas A&M or face Texas A&M, who's got a really good defense, and turn around and face Tennessee if you win that game. But I do think they can get past Texas for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough. Like, I think they're going to get past Texas as well, but that, like, having A&M wait for you as a 5 seed is borderline unfair, and that's how it kind of feels with South Carolina, Arkansas. Right above that, it's like you get the 8 seed in the conference. Sweet, who's that? Tournament lock, Ole Miss. Like, that's a tough place to be. There's a lot of really good teams in the SEC.
And let's kind of just scroll out here.
Can Missouri
do
it,
at the bottom? No.
Oh,
this defense is awful. Like the past month, Tyson, yeah, their offense has been sick, but they have to outscore you if they're going to win. And while they're having the second best offense in adjusted numbers, they're 4-4 their last 8. Like, yeah, okay, you're playing in the SEC and you play good teams, but they're 152nd in adjusted defense. Like, that's not good enough. It's not going to be anything that allows them to go on a deep run, in my opinion.
I'm in agreement with you, and I think the Oklahoma-Georgia matchup is interesting. I know this is about who's going to win the conference tournament. I don't think either one of those teams can, but, I mean, Georgia just picked up the biggest win of their season, and Oklahoma's fighting for their tournament lives there as well. I don't think that either one of those teams gets by Kentucky, and this is where I have Kentucky as just like, you can throw them in here if you want, but, like, I think they're in big trouble in a game against Alabama, just the way that they play.
Yeah. So Kentucky was the first cut. I was kind of looking at them, 6th in adjusted offense, 53rd in adjusted defense nationally. That equates to 5th in adjusted offense in the SEC and 9th in adjusted defense. So you're kind of on par with some other guys, but it's not quite a metric that stands out. But Tyson, they've been really good in the last month. 15th in the country in adjusted offense, 25th in adjusted defense. So I do think they could potentially make a run. Now, is their defense going to be able to compete with Alabama and shut down Alabama? That's where I'm like, probably not. That's why I excluded them from this. But I do think Kentucky is a team to keep an eye on here.
Absolutely. And as we look at this more, and that's kind of, why off the top I was a little bit bullish on Florida. I think this sets up really well for them. And we're imagining they're going to draw Alabama in a semifinal game. I think Florida's a better basketball team. And I think Florida has, like, it almost feels, I would rather be Florida here than Auburn.
I think so too, if you're looking, because LSU, Mississippi State, not going to scare you. And then, Missouri could drop any of those games. And then you play a Missouri team who can't defend at all. Meanwhile, you can no Missouri can score, but you're going to be able to at least force them to miss some shots. And then if Kentucky beats Alabama, that's a game that you can win. Then on the flip side, Tyson, like you said, let's say Auburn plays Ole Miss. That's Chris Beard against, Bruce Pearl in a one-off. That's an interesting matchup. Texas A&M, if they're able to get past Tennessee or something like that, that's a team that just beat them. Tennessee, that defense, they can travel. What if they make it tough on Auburn? So I agree. There are more pathways for Auburn to be picked off, I believe, on their top half than Florida on their bottom.
Yeah, and this one's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're going to draw some conclusions that are going to be quickly disproven for the actual March Madness tournament just based off this. This is like one of the most exciting conference tournaments that I can remember.
I'm super pumped. Now, everybody's talking about this is the best conference of all time, and I think it's hard to argue with that. But did you see recently now that KenPom says maybe that's a little too overrated now? Maybe we're overrating the SEC. Do you buy into that type of stuff here?
Well, dude, it's March. We've been overrating the SEC in March for like 10 years. Like, of course, this is what's happening. This is not new. This is the SEC Big Ten Challenge, and it's going to be awesome. And, dude, Kentucky beat Duke earlier this season. Are you kidding me? Duke's the best team in the league. Kentucky's 6 in their own conference.
I know it is funny. I love the non-conference, and we do take that into account, of course. You and I, and of course the metrics and things like that. But I love how this what happened against a team full of freshmen in November. It's not that means this
between these two things.
It's hilarious. I love it. Okay, that's our SEC tournament preview. Thank you guys for breaking all this stuff down or listening to us break it down. Let us know who you guys think is going to win the SEC tournament. Are we crazy? Is there going to be a dark horse? Is there going to be a long shot? Let us know. We'll be back, Tyson, figuring out maybe something for Suction Sunday. I don't know. We're going to figure it out, but we're full speed ahead for college basketball. We also have some golf content coming out. It's the players this weekend. We're getting ready for the major season. Plus, NFL free agency is hot and heavy. So we got a ton of content for all of you sports fans coming out. So don't miss a single thing. So we want to stay subscribed so you don't miss it. Smash that like button all the way out. You guys know the drill. And we'll talk to you when you talk to you. Enjoy the basketball. We'll speak to you soon. Peace.